Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, let us, brothers and sisters, give praise and thanks to Almighty God, Allah, for His love and His mercy, for His many blessings upon us, for the precious gift of life, the blessing of our parents, for His marvelous and magnificent creation. As a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I could never thank Allah enough for His intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and for His raising up from among us a divine leader, teacher, and guide in the personage of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I am here by Allah's grace and mercy, and as each and every one of you are. But I know each and every day that I would not be who I am and who I desire to be and hope to become if Allah did not extend His grace and His mercy and a wonderful human beings that the dictionary just does not give him justice. But this wonderful human being is an extension of Allah's grace to us. He is an extension of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to not only us, but to the entire world. And that makes him a divine leader, a divine teacher, and a divine guide. The man that I speak of is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet all of you, my dear, beloved brothers and sisters here in Chicago, and those who are viewing our program via internet with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Well, we have a wonderful brother and student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so I will now, on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, present him to you. He has a long list of accomplishments, and but I want to give this brother justice in introducing him to us today. He registered in 1968 in the Nation of Islam in the city of Dayton, Ohio, which was numbered mosque number 19. And he became an assistant minister in the Nation of Islam to now deceased Minister Theodore Hamza in 1973. He also is a graduate from Case Western Reserve Medical School, where he received his degree in medicine in 1975. He trained at the Harlem Hospital from 1975 to 1981, 6 years in surgical training. He came to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shortly after the minister stood up to rebuild the Nation of Islam and began the study group in Washington, D.C., where he was appointed the minister of that city and served in that capacity from 1981 to 1992. He also has served in the Nation of Islam as Minister Farrakhan's national spokesman. He founded the Abundant Life Clinic in 1986 and has practiced and has been a student of medicine for over 33 years, learning not only traditional medicine, but has done extensive research in alternative medicines so that we can be restored as a people to good health. He has the great blessing, and I consider it a great blessing, to travel with the minister throughout the world, accompanying Minister Farrakhan on 2 of his World Friendship Tours, where he witnessed firsthand the tremendous and profound love that is in the Arab people, the Muslim world, the Asian people, the African people, all who received your and my brother from the West with such honor, an honor that is only generally seen or given to heads of state, but even more. In those countries that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan visited, he was not only received by the heads of state, but he was received with great, great love and respect by the little man in the street. And Brother Abdul Alim Muhammad witnessed this tremendous love and respect firsthand. He's also has served as the chairman of the Commission for the Reorganization and Restructure of the Nation of Islam, which was initiated by the minister in 2001, and he heads up our Ministry of Health and Human Services. So we are honored that the minister has invited him today to speak to us. Please join me as we welcome to the rostrum our brother and friend. Please welcome Brother Abdul Alim Muhammad with a warm round of applause.
May Allah bless you. Is there a Bible? I can get you one. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the All-Wise, the True, and the Living God, who came to us in person, in the holy person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. We thank him for his coming. We thank him for searching among us to find a vessel fit to receive the divine wisdom teachings of God himself, and turning that vessel, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, into his second self, so that when you saw the one, you were also looking at the other. That God took himself out of view after 3.5 years, but left the gleaming vessel that he had produced for us in our midst for 40 years as a guiding light to a people who had gone astray and who had been taken astray and lost and forgotten about in the dustbin of history. And then that messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad himself, was taken out of sight, but he left one to remind us of the other two. Their servant to us, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that the whole world knows, because he's a very beautiful brother, very wonderful brother. As a matter of fact, he's the most famous Muslim in the whole world. He is. He's the most popular Muslim. In a lot of parts of the world, Islam and Muslims are not that popular. But Minister Farrakhan's popular everywhere, with everybody. So we thank Allah and his messenger for their servant to us in this day and time, who is guiding us through a terrible time of trial and trouble safely, to get us on the other side of this madness that is occurring among us, that we see every day on the front pages of the newspapers, on the radio, on the TV. We know this world that we have known is going down, and not slow, it's going down fast. So brothers and sisters, I'm very, very happy to be here. I would not be here except that I have received an invitation to be here. I wasn't seeking to be here. what I was actually in Chicago for was conducting a road clinic, as we call it, the Abundant Life Clinic. We don't sit up in Washington waiting for the patients to come see us, because we know some of them can't come. And we also know that what Allah has blessed us to have to offer, you can't get it everywhere. So since you got something that you can't get everywhere, then you have to actually get up from your place and move out all over the country. And that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years, going everywhere. So I'm a lucky brother to have the opportunity to meet firsthand, person to person, face to face, thousands of Muslim brothers and sisters all over the country in all of the cities, and to have an opportunity to share with them what I have been blessed to learn, to know and to do in an effort to help them with the health problems that they might be struggling with. And so we were here in Chicago on a road clinic visit organized by the Ministry of Health here in Chicago. And Sister Patrice, just before we took off, she called and said, well, do you want to speak on Sunday? I said, well, no. And then I thought, I said, wait, well, who's inviting me? I said, naturally, it would be an honor to have an opportunity to speak at the headquarters mosque. Not that I actually want to do that, but if I'm being invited to do it by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or the laborers in Chicago, certainly I have to accept whether I want to do it or not. All praise is due to Allah. So you saying to yourself, well, why wouldn't you want to do that? Well, because I don't view myself nowadays so much as someone who does a lot of talking. I just don't. I did once upon a time, but not now. I'm interested in doing something. I like it when I can shut up. See, because people don't really need talk about help. They need help. So I can talk. I know how to talk. I learned how to talk after I joined the Nation of Islam. I ain't have nothing to say before I met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we got great preachers in the Nation of Islam. So I don't have to try to be a great preacher. I'm trying to be myself, and I'm learning who I am. And when you learn who you are, then you get acquainted with your destiny. And so I'm not trying to be no great preacher. So, and I have to also, I'm making excuses for myself so you won't hold me to some high standard. I'm trying to make it easy on myself. I want to just say, before we go any further, that the other reason that I didn't really want to speak is because, as some of you know, I recently lost my wife. So I'm standing here with one leg missing, if you understand what I mean. See, we don't stand in life by ourselves. See, we don't do what we do by ourselves. If you think that you act and do and stand on your own, see, that's why you're not doing too good. You don't even know that you're missing some of the natural support that is supposed to be there. The natural support of a man is his wife. The natural support of a woman is her husband. And when you're standing by yourself, it's as though you're a person standing on one leg and all you can do at most is hop around a little bit. but you can hardly walk, and you certainly can't run. But when you got the right mate, the right helpmate, the right helpmeet, well now, then your potential as a human being has a possibility of being realized. And so that's where I'm grieving. As I stand before you, I'm grieving. And some say, well, you're not supposed to grieve. Well, maybe you're not supposed to, but I am. Don't tell me what you're not supposed to do. I'm a real man. I ain't no imaginary figment of somebody's imagination. I'm a real man. I'm a natural man. And I was saying to Brother Ishmael just the other day, see, I don't understand. Why would Allah send to me my soulmate that makes my life and my existence and my work complete, and then call her back to himself? Don't get me wrong. Now, as I said to my wife as she was fading out, and she knew that she was departing this life, and she wanted to know why. And I said, baby, we don't know why, but we're Muslims, and so we submit. Whether we understand it or not, we submit. And the thing about it, all of us are going out of here, aren't we? See, that's one of the things we don't like to talk about. Don't get upset at me because I'm starting out this way. I'm just letting you know where I'm coming from. One of these days, Allah permitting, I would like to actually tell you the story about my wife, Mashallah, and how she got that name, where it came from, and how the whole story evolved. But that'll wait for another time. So I'm not here to preach today, but I want to share with you some of what I've learned. In one sense, you could say I just feel like telling my story. I don't have some great subject in my head, so my head feels kind of empty today, but my heart is full. So if it's all right with you, I'll speak from the heart and allow Allah to guide my words so that that which should be said will be said, and that which should be held back will be held back. Is everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
I joined the Nation of Islam in 1968. That was 40 years ago. That sounds like a long time, but it's not really. I'm just beginning to find out what this thing is all about. Brother Abel said, oh man, anybody that's been dedicated, and no, he said committed to something for 40 years, that's really something. I said, well, it didn't always feel like I was committed. Sometimes it's like that, isn't it? You barely holding on. But when you barely holding on, being rocked and racked by trials and tribulation, you don't actually feel at that moment like you're committed to anything. See, it wasn't like 40 years standing tall. No, it was some times, all praise is due to Allah. There were some times that you was knocked down to your knees. But the point is, when that happens to you, when life deals you that kind of a blow, do you have it within you to get back up? See, that's what it's all about. See, I know some of you are here for the first time? How many of you are here for the first time? This is the first time you ever came to the Muslims meeting. Okay, see, I can identify with you, brother, because that was me 40 years ago. I didn't know nothing about Islam. I had hardly ever heard the name Elijah Muhammad, and then what I had heard about him was negative. I didn't hear nothing positive. But I was out in St. Louis with some college buddies. We were running around, partying, stayed up all night Saturday night, got up Sunday, well, it really wasn't Sunday morning. It was more like Sunday afternoon, but to us, it was like morning. Looking for something to eat. Ended up in a place called the Shabazz restaurant. Didn't know where we were. I didn't know that was a black Muslim restaurant. We were just looking for breakfast, that's all. Head bad. Had a big old afro like this that I had hit 2 or 3 times with one of them afro combs. Looking bad. Probably smelling bad too. Smoking, drinking all night long. Get up in the morning, the most you do is throw some water in your face. I guess I'm all right. Going out. See, I was a savage, but at the time, I didn't know I was a savage. I thought I was all right. Got in that restaurant and sat down, and they served us, and the food was wonderful. And then a man came, and he sat at the table next to us, and I noticed he was spying us. And he came over and made conversation and said, well, from the looks of it, are you here for the Black Power rally? No, what Black Power rally? Said, we're having a Black Power rally right down the street. And he began to talk to us. And I'm just looking at this man, and this is the cleanest man I had ever seen in my life. His name was Minister Joseph. In St. Louis in 1968. Later on, he became Minister Yusuf Shah here in Chicago. But at that time, he was Joseph. And this was a clean man. I had never seen somebody that clean. And he was a shiny man. His face was lit up like the sun. And his eyes were clear, and the whites were really white. And he was so well mannered and polite. And even though, as I understand it now, he was dealing with savages, he actually was treating us like we were civilized, which we weren't. Next thing I know, he had invited us to this Black Power rally. Well, we wasn't doing nothing anyhow. Turns out the Black Power rally was really Muhammad's mosque, number 28. Got us in there, set us in the front row. Had a line of FOI sitting right behind us. We was trapped. I was scared to look to the left or the right. I didn't know what was getting ready to happen in there. Then this man came on stage. He was moving so smooth, it seemed like he was gliding. Dressed in a white FOI uniform, white trimmed in gold with the sun, moon, and stars on his shoulders. Had a golden crescent moon and star on his fez. And I looked, and I looked again. And man, it was the same man that was in the restaurant that had been talking to us. He had changed his clothes. And he came down and he taught a subject that I'll never forget called the deportation of the moon. And he was talking about the god of moon and how he exploded the then moon, which was the name of the planet at that time, and broke off a piece. And the piece that got broke off and lost its water became the moon, and the part that was left became the earth. Then he tied it up saying that that dead part of the earth called moon is a representative of the dead people who have also lost their water, which is to say a people who have lost their wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and they are like a dead planet. He kept referring to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that that part that is called moon is just like the earth. It just doesn't have any water. So if you go to the moon, you don't see any life on the moon because it doesn't have water. Nothing's growing on that moon, but if you could get the water back to the moon, then it would grow on the moon just like it grows on the earth. So what he was actually saying was that this people in North America called Negroes, see, originally they were the mothers and the fathers of civilization. Mathematics came from those people. All culture and science came from those people. Chemistry, mathematics came from those people. Astronomy came from those people. Medicine, law, government, all of the arts and sciences that we have to make our life civilized came from those people that are now called Negroes. Well, how are you going to look at a old dead Negro and get mathematics and science and government and law? You don't see nowhere in the world that a Negro could teach you mathematics. They don't even like mathematics. But that's because they don't have their water. They don't have their wisdom. They don't have the knowledge of self. They don't have the understanding of self. They don't know their origin. They don't know their place in the world. They don't know their great destiny. They have been taken off of the stage of world history, and they have been reduced down to the level of beasts of the field. They have been made savage. So they're living this kind of a beast life. But if somehow, through some miracle, you could restore the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to this dead people, then they could live again. And in fact, that's what the Bible and the Holy Quran is referring to under the resurrection of the dead. It's not talking about physically dead people coming back to life. It's talking about mentally dead people, Negroes. In fact, he explained it so well. Negro means dead. That's why they call you that. So then, at the end of the meeting, then he wanted to know who believed that what they had heard is the truth. And I don't know what got into me. Because my friends have been hunching me. They're going to make you join. They're going to make you join. So I was trying to hold myself down in the seat. But when he spoke those words, who believed, I got up. My friend, they were trying to pull me. Sit down, man. Sit down. But I couldn't sit down. Later on, we were driving back to college. Well, two things happened. They said, man, you believe all that stuff? I don't know. Man, that ain't nothing but some black mythology. So I said, yeah, but at least it's in our favor. Then the next thing that happened, we were on the outskirts of St. Louis, Somebody said, now you ain't been to St. Louis unless you has a rib tip sandwich. I said, what's a rib tip sandwich? Oh, it's barbecue. Man, you got to get that. You ain't been to St. Louis if you ain't had a rib tip sandwich. So we stopped at a place where you could get that. And I got me a rib tip sandwich. I ate that pork sandwich, and within 15 minutes, I thought I was going to die. I had been eating pork all my life, never had a problem with it at all, but the minute I ate that rib tip sandwich after hearing the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, so I had to curl up in the back of the seat of the car. I was moaning and groaning, and I was thinking to myself, oh, Allah, if you allow me to live, I'll never, ever eat anything like that again. See, isn't that amazing how you can just hear something one time? Not only did it change my mind and my system of belief, evidently it changed my body. So that after that, no longer could my mind accept anything other than supreme wisdom truth, but my body couldn't accept anything other than pure, lawful food. See, now when I got back to campus, I remembered that actually I had heard of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad before. As a matter of fact, it was in April of 1968. Because see, at that time, I was a black revolutionary. And in order to be a qualified black revolutionary, you had to read Muhammad Speaks. Because nobody else was putting nothing out that was even interesting. But if you wanted to be up to date and know what was going on in the black world, you didn't have any choice about the matter at all. You had to buy Muhammad Speaks. So every week I would go out in search of Muhammad Speaks. But now being a black revolutionary, having heard that Karl Marx said that religion is the opiate of the people, I knew that the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was affiliated with somebody's religion. I didn't know nothing about it. But I knew that Karl Marx said that religion was the opiate of the people, and even though I was looking for some real opium, I didn't want no opium called religion. Because that would mess up my revolutionary black nationalist credentials. The other black nationalists would have thought I had turned hypocrite on them. So I would read the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, but the thing that I would never do, ever, I would never read the article by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. No, I ain't going to do it. I'll read the politics, I'll read the economics, the world history, all about Africa, all about culture, but no, I am not going to read no religious article. Period. That's it. I'm just telling you how I was. But one time, I got so high. I did. I was so high, I was out of my mind. Now, you know how it is when you get totally intoxicated? You do things that you ordinarily wouldn't do. Right? So there I was, I'm high as a kite, got Muhammad Speaks, and I did something that I ordinarily would never do. I actually read the article by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I wasn't responsible. I was too high to be responsible. I was legally drunk. But I read that article. It was entitled Daniel's Vision. And the first thing I noticed when I read that article, it blew my high. I was mad. I messed around and read this article by Elijah Muhammad, and he blew my high. My mind was crystal clear, and I read that article, then I read it again. And I couldn't believe it. It had not only blown my high, it had blown my mind. Because here I was, a revolutionary, and here's a religious man that had written a short little article that was more revolutionary than anything Karl Marx ever wrote, anything that Vladimir Lenin ever wrote, anything that Engels ever wrote. So let me share with you that article, and you can go in the archives and find it and read it for yourself. You can go into the book of Daniel, 2nd chapter, start at the 31st verse, and it talks about Daniel's vision. Well, actually, the way the Bible tells the story, it was the king of Babylon's vision or dream. Here's the great and mighty king of Babylon, has a dream, and it disturbs him to the core of his being. He was agitated. He was upset. Didn't know what to do. He was totally at his wit's end because he had a troubling dream that caused this anxiety within himself. But the thing about it is, he couldn't remember what the dream was. So he called all of the wise men, all of his wise counselors, and said, I had a dream that troubled me, and I need the interpretation of the dream. So they said, well, O king, tell us what the dream is, and we'll give you an interpretation. He said, I can't remember the dream. So not only do you have to give me the interpretation of the dream, you got to tell me what the dream was. So they said, what, O king, there's nobody on the face of the earth that is wise enough to give you the dream that you can't remember yourself and then the interpretation of the dream. That would have to be God himself. And so one of them wise counselors must have been really wise, because he was wise enough to remember that there was a prisoner named Daniel. And they went and got Daniel, told Daniel what the dilemma was, because the king had said, if you can't give me my dream back and you can't give me the interpretation of the dream, I'm going to have all of you killed. So they had motivation. So they told Daniel what was up, and they were going to kill Daniel too. But Daniel had a relationship with the true and living God. So the way the Bible tells it, he got with his brothers. There was also in prison with him. Sounds like they had a dialogue session. I have to go back and read that again and make sure that's what it was. But then out of that dialogue, Daniel fell into a deep sleep. And in the middle of the night, it says that God gave him a night vision. And the night vision was the answer to the king's dream. Then the next day, he was taken before the king, and he said, "O king, God has given me your dream and its interpretation." He told the king what the king had dreamed. He said, "You saw in your dream an image, a great and mighty image that was terrible to behold. And the image had a great head that was made out of gold. It had a breast and arms that were made out of silver and thighs out of brass. And it was set on legs and feet that were made out of iron. And the feet had iron but also mixed with clay. And then a stone was hurled at the image, a stone that no hand had fashioned, but a stone was hurled at the image and broke the image to pieces and was seen no more. And then the stone that was hewed with no hand became a great mountain and filled up the entire earth. So Daniel said the interpretation said, you, king, you are the head of gold. It represents your kingdom because you are the great ruler of the earth. You got everything and everybody under your control. And the breast of silver and the arms of silver represent the lesser nations. And under them, the brass represents a third order of nations that are lesser in power than you. And then you have under that a fourth layer made of iron, and they represent even the weaker powers. But it's all resting on feet of iron mixed with clay. And that's a weak foundation. And so the stone, when it was hurled, it hit those feet and it broke apart. And then the head and the breast and the thighs also broke apart. And this, O king, is the destruction of your kingdom. You are looking at the destruction of your empire. You are looking at the destruction of your world. You are looking at the destruction of your rulership and authority in the earth. And the stone that was cut out with no hand represents God's people who are being used as a weapon against you. And then they become the ruling power in the earth. And at the beginning, they look small and insignificant, just a stone. But the stone becomes a mountain, and then the mountain fills up the entire earth. And this, O king, is your dream and its interpretation. Well, now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that this is not a vision of something in the past. This is a vision of today. He said, America is the head made of gold. Because at that time in 1968, America was on the gold standard. So her wealth and her power was supreme throughout the earth. And the breast of silver represented England under the British sterling. And they were a secondary power to the first power that was America. And then the other nations, the other European nations were like the brass. Germany and Japan and France and Spain and those other secondary nations. And then the next layer down is the iron nations, the other nations that's pretty strong, but they're not world-class powers. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that all of this weight of a great head of gold, a breast of silver, thighs of brass, and legs of iron, this is a great weight that is resting on feet that are a mixture of miry clay and iron. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that iron and clay don't mix very well. They do not form a strong bond. And so you have the entire power of the world, America, England, the European powers, and the lesser powers standing on the poor and the downtrodden of the earth, the black, the brown, the red, the yellow people of the earth, the people of Africa, the people of Mexico, the people of Central and South America, the people of Asia, downtrodden, oppressed, in some cases even enslaved, and held together, as it were, just by the brute force of power of wicked government. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad pointed out that the foundation of this world is weak and inherently revolutionary. And what you will see in this world is an uprising in Africa, an uprising in the Caribbean, an uprising in Central and South America and Asia. And as the masses of people of the world begin to rise up, then you'll see that heavy head of gold tumbling down, America falling down, Britain falling down, France and Spain and Portugal being cast down, all of the would-be powers of the world cast down, broken into pieces until they are no more. Well, now you can see Daniel's vision on CNN. See, the Holy Quran says, nay, we hurl truth at falsehood until we make truth knock falsehood's brains out. See, that's truth. That's a stone that is cut with no hand. How are you going to cut truth out? With your hand. No, it's a different kind of reality with truth, isn't it? So all that's necessary to bring about the destruction of this world is truth. So God comes in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. He came to North America by himself, but he was full of truth. On September the 21st, 1931, there was a lost found in the audience who heard this great truth teacher. It ignited his mind and his heart and his soul to the point that he stood patiently in line after the lecture was over. And he walked up to Master Farad Muhammad when it was his turn. Not just to give him the greetings, not just to shake his hand, not just to say, way to go, good teaching. But he walked up to him and looked him right in his eye. I know who you are. You're no prophet. Because the people have been calling him a prophet. You're no prophet. You're the one that the world has been waiting for 2,000 years. And when Master Farad Muhammad heard the words of this lost found brother, at that time known as Elijah Poole, he pulled him close, leaned over and put his hand around Elijah's ear and says, you're right, but who knows it? And he swore him to secrecy, that he was not to let anybody else know that he had discovered the one who was in their midst that was teaching a mighty truth until it was time. Now, if we ask that same question about the identity of Master Farad Muhammad, that he is the one that the world has been waiting for 2,000 years, and we ask the question, well, who knows it now? Okay, if you know that, stand up. Yeah, well, I guess nobody knows it. Yeah. I'm sorry, I probably didn't make the question clear. I'm just trying to make the point that what nobody knew but one man Now pretty much everybody knows. Unless it's just a newborn baby that just got born yesterday. But actually, even that newborn baby knows it, because the truth has so permeated that very atmosphere of this world that the first breath that the baby breathed in was filled up with the truth of Master Farad Muhammad. Because he is such a powerful God of truth. He don't actually have to wait till he meets you to affect you. He has a brain that is so powerful that what he's thinking about is affecting you right now. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says he has the power to tune in into every human being on the face of the earth all at the same time. Not one at a time, but all at the same time. And then when he's tuning in on your thinking, he's examining you to see whether you are thinking right. Thinking right means that you are thinking like him. And to the degree that you are thinking like he wants you to think, then he furthers you in that line of thinking. But if he finds you thinking contrary to his will, then he will frustrate you in that line, and you will not make any progress thinking along lines that are not in accord with the will of Master Farad Muhammad. Oh, this is the mighty God that is on scene today. So when I read that article about Honorable Elijah Muhammad called Daniel's Vision, then I remembered that there was a brother on campus, a fellow student, named Hank Ganges. And Hank had already been to the mosque, and he had come back with a book called Message to the Black Man. So here it was, like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm running across campus. I'm knocking on Hank Ganges' door. Open up. Who is it? Who is it? Open up, Hank. What you want, man? You got a book, brother. Where's that book? What book you talking about, man? You know what time it is. That book, you went to the mosque, brother. Where's the book? That book you brought back, where's the book? Oh, I don't know where that book is. Go find the book, man. So he digging in his closet till he came up with Message to the Black Man. I grabbed the book, ran back to my room, and I read the first 13 pages. And I found out the reality of God. See, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had been teaching that God is a mystery, you wouldn't be looking at me today. Because I wasn't too wise or smart or nothing, but I knew better than to believe in a spook God. I had already found out the preacher was lying in the church where I grew up. So I wasn't under the influence of that at all. So anybody talking that kind of religious talk, you know, that old spook talk, that old Holy Ghost roller stuff, I mean, I'm not trying to insult you or offend you if that's your thing. I'm just talking about myself. I wasn't into that. Wasn't looking to get into that. And if that had been what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching, I would have said, uh-oh, I must have made a mistake. Let me go back the other way. But when I found out that God was a man, man, that solidified me. Oh, okay, now I can pay attention to this. Tell me about this God who is a man. I want to know this God because it looks like I could get to know this God. When you talk about God as a mystery, you can't get to know him. Talking about God as your friend and he's a spook. I ain't got no friends that spooks. All my friends are men and women, human beings. So now I'm not going to teach that. That's a subject in and of itself, the reality of God. God as a man. God has always been a man. Never has been anything but a man. Will always be a man. And so I'm sure those of you who are new to the Nation of Islam, and even those that's not so new, you see, that's what you really need to study up on. Because what you will find in your study of the reality of God as being a man, you will actually find the knowledge of yourself. That's the secret about yourself. Because you are the children of God, right? So if the God is a man and you are the children of that God, what do you think you are? See, children pretty much grow up to be like their parents, right? So if God is your parent, God is your father, and you're the child, and that can be proven that you're the child, you're not some illegitimate child. See, we got some illegitimate children on the face of the earth. They can't strictly be called the children of God, but you are in the family of God. You are the direct descendants from the original God from the very beginning. So as a direct descendant of the original God, guess who you are by your very nature? Jesus said it like this: ye are all gods, children of the Most High. See? All praise is due to Allah. So in one sense, see, that sums the whole thing up. See, that's what the whole Nation of Islam program is all about. Taking roughshod Negroes, savages, the broke down product of America, that you've been reduced to nothing, sometimes referred to in scripture as dust or the dead. So the task of the Nation of Islam, the mission of the Nation of Islam, is to take these dust people, these nothing people, these dead people, and shape them up, raise them up, and show them that they are God. Yeah, I like this sentence by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and our Savior has arrived. He said, every Muslim is an Allah. Don't you like that? Every Muslim is an Allah. No, we're not saying you the big Allah. But I ain't got to be the big Allah as long as I'm a little Allah. Is everybody all right? So that's part of my story. See, and I just wanted to share that that's how I came into the knowledge of this thing. And I'm sure everybody's seated in this room, you got your story. And you should share your story with other people, because maybe it will inspire them and strengthen them to keep on keeping on, as we like to say. Let's look at some other things, and then we'll be done. I started out saying I'm really I don't like talking a lot. You wouldn't know it from the last. But it's really true. I'm happiest when I'm helping people. That's what makes me happy. Maybe I'm helping somebody now. I don't know. But I was driving in my car about 5 days ago, and I was thinking about how lucky I am. Some people say, you shouldn't use that word, brother. What Honorable Elijah Muhammad said is, you are lucky, brother or sister, if you believe that I am the messenger of Allah. And I believe that. So I'm lucky. And if you believe that, you lucky too. Because there's a whole lot of people, so I'm finding out, who hear that and they don't believe it. They are so unlucky. But I'm a lucky man. And I appreciate all of the good things that have come to me since I accepted my own. There's no price that could be put on what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us and is teaching us. And we have barely scratched the surface of what he taught us. Not to think about the things that he will teach us in the future. Because we're just trying to catch up on these old books. But we know that there's a new book that's already prepared. And as soon as we get ready, then maybe we'll see that new book of wisdom where he said, one blast from that trumpet, you will raise the dead overnight. But I was thinking about my career in the nation. And I looked at myself in the rear view mirror in the car. I said, you are a lucky man to have grown and developed under the cultivation of Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan into a man that can help everybody. So you're going to have to take that home and think about that. Because I realize a truth about myself. That because I embrace these teachings, and maybe I should say these teachings embrace me, and I stuck with it through thick and thin long enough, I have been cultivated to the point that every time I look at a human being, male or female, young or old, I'm looking at somebody that I can help by the grace of Allah. Now, that doesn't mean everybody wants to be helped. See, plenty of people need help. Everybody needs help. But some people are so proud and arrogant or just ignorant and silly, they won't accept help. But I was driving my car, but I wanted to fall down on my knees and thank Allah for taking a little nothing and making me into the man that I am today. Not that it's a finished work. Don't get me wrong now. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just telling you the truth. I didn't know nothing about nothing. Then when I found out a little bit about something, I was inspired. I wanted to help the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to build his nation. But I didn't know what to do. It didn't seem like there was nothing I could do. Well, actually, as a Negro, there's nothing you can do. Dead people can't do nothing. And I was dead. But when a little life came into me, then I had the desire to do more. Well, in order to do more, then you have to develop. A little child can hardly do anything because the child is not developed. But as development occurs, cultivation occurs, education and training occurs, then the capacity of that child increases. And so that's why we say in Islam, come to cultivation. This is what Islam is. It's a cultivating force that brings about the cultivation of the human being. Because in the human being is all potential, all power, all wisdom, all understanding. You have the ability as a human being to do all things by your divine nature. It gives you that power. But as we are right now, we're like a seed that has yet to germinate. So we don't look like an oak tree. We look like an acorn. Some old hard something. But let that acorn germinate and allow it to be cultivated long enough. And then you're looking at a mighty oak tree that spreads its branches in all directions. Well, that's you. So when you come to this, when you come to Islam, and when I say Islam, I'm talking about Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I ain't necessarily talking about the other Islam. Not putting it down now. I just don't know nothing about that. That other Islam ain't never done nothing for me. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't know nothing about it. And I don't pretend to know anything about it. The only Islam I know is the Islam taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So now, a man or a woman who has discovered his or her destiny, your place in the sun, discovered the purpose for which you were created. Well, now, that puts a heavy responsibility on you, doesn't it? See, that's why some people run from their destiny. They run from the knowledge of self because as long as you're a Negro, you can be happy-go-lucky. You don't have to be responsible for nothing. That's why some people close their ears to the teaching of the reality of God, because when you find out you're God, then you're responsible, aren't you? See, because God's responsible for everything, isn't he? He can't point the finger to somebody else and say he's responsible. No. When you find out you're God, you find out you're responsible. It's up to you. So I wanted to help the Honorable Elijah Muhammad so bad, but I didn't know what to do. And then somehow the idea of medicine occurred. Then I asked around among the followers, is medicine something, would that be a good thing? No, brother. We don't need no doctors. You need to be trying to get out that devil school. Muslims don't get sick. What we need a doctor for? All we need is how to eat to live. We don't need no doctors. But somehow that didn't sound right. Matter of fact, that sounded ignorant. It was ignorant. Then I would warn everybody, especially those that's new, don't think you can take advice from any Muslim just because they are Muslim. They might not be qualified to actually give you a good answer to your question, but that don't mean they won't give you an answer. Because we got a tendency to give ourselves credit for knowing things that we actually don't know. And if we don't actually know the answer, we make up the answer. So then I said to myself, well, you know what? I know how to write. Let me write the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a letter. And maybe, who knows, I might even get an answer. So I wrote him a letter asking that question, whether medicine would be something that a follower of his should pursue. I got a letter back in about less than 2 weeks. It knocked me off my feet. He opened up in the name of Allah. Then he said, Assalamu alaikum. Dear brother, That almost floored me. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad called me brother. Isn't that something? To have a brother like that. Ain't that something? And he wrote 3 lines. He said, we need everything in the building of a nation. Then the second line, you know what you are qualified to do. Third line, may Allah bless you with success. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So then, long story short, there I was, a confused Negro that had wasted most of the time I had been in college. Now I'm trying to change my major to pre-med, and they're telling me, well, if you want to graduate on time, you got to do the whole 5-year pre-med curriculum in 2 years. Well, I'm a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't tell me what I can't do. The reason I was so confident about it was he already told me that mathematics was my nature. So you tell me what I can do. And guess what? In the name of Allah and his messenger, I'll do it. Well, is that just true for me? No, that's true for the whole nation. Anything that you desire of good to do in the building of a nation, then you should have the confidence within yourself that it is right. Don't ask no ignorant person that don't see what you see. Who was it that planted the idea in my head? I'm not one of these little boys growing up dreaming about being a doctor. The truth of it is, you know what I wanted to be when I was a little boy? A garbage man. I did. Why? Why would you want to be a garbage man? Because they get all the best stuff. Yeah, my father had a friend who was a garbage man. He hang on the back of that truck. People throw out good stuff. So he had violins, he had furniture, he had pictures, he had all kinds of stuff. So I wanted to be a garbage man. Get all the good stuff. That's true. But long story short, I went to school, graduated, became a minister in the Nation of Islam in Cleveland, Ohio. Went to New York, did my training in surgery. Why'd you do surgery? Because that's the most difficult. That's the broadest, that's the deepest. Surgery subsumes under itself all other disciplines in medicine. And so when I was in medical school, I wanted to know, why can't I learn it all? Well, no, you have to choose something. You can't do it all. Oh, yeah? So I chose surgery because in surgery, you learn to do it all. But when I graduated from medical school, I told my mother. She was so proud. I said, but Mom, you know what? Something tells me I'm not going to practice medicine like it's practiced. I'm going to do something different. Well, what made me feel like I was going to be different? Because before I was a doctor, I was the follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And one thing about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he's different. Is that right? See, it's a waste of time trying to make the Honorable Elijah Muhammad like he's the same as somebody. You don't know nobody like that man. And his followers, they're different too. Some of us have anxiety about that. We don't like being different. So when we out there in the street, see, we don't like to dress like this sometimes. We like to dress like the people dress, so we can feel like we're the same. But why are you so proud to be the same with that which God has condemned? See, Allah didn't come in the person of Master Farah Muhammad teaching that which would make us the same, which is to say, make us equal. See, that's the dream of a Negro, to be equal with his white slave master. We don't want to be equal with that which God has come to destroy. I want to be different. So when you call me doctor, I don't want you thinking about the doctor that you know. I ain't that. Don't get me wrong. Now, I know what he knows. But I know something that he doesn't know. He or she could learn it, but they have to come this way. If they're willing to come this way, then God promises to put them on top in the field of medicine. So suppose you're a teacher. If you come this way, then God promises to put you on top in the world of teaching. If you're a chemist, a mathematician, an astronomer, a farmer, a musician, whatever your calling is. And all of us have been given a calling by God. But if you come this way and take up the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and submit yourself to follow the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, then God promises you to put you on top. So I'm not practicing the old medicine. They said in my introduction that I founded the Abundant Life Clinic in 1986, where we're shutting it down, setting up something new. Don't need that old stuff. We got the new stuff. I was seeing a sister yesterday. Now I'm used to people coming to see me. They got a bag full of medicine. Sick as sick can be. And of course, one of the major reasons why they're sick is because they got that bag full of medicine. Now here comes a sister. She got 2 bags. I said, man, you got 2 bags of medicine, sister? You take that stuff? Yes, sir, brother. I said, no wonder you sick. So anyhow, we did our testing. Found out she wasn't really in that bad a shape. And then she said, well, what about that medicine? I said, I need to still stay on that. I said, well, let me test you now. I'm not going to jump to some hasty conclusion and deprive you of something that is actually helping you. Maybe there's something in those bags that's actually helping you. So it turned out of maybe 15 or 16 different prescription medications, there were actually 2 things in the bag that helped her, but the rest we threw out. See, that's like Master Farad Muhammad did, right? I'm told he would go into the homes of the believers and clear out the medicine cabinet, throw all that mess away. Well, how could he be so bold as to do that? Wasn't he afraid that somebody that was sick who needed that medication and he's thrown it in the trash can? Well, think about it, though. He didn't do that until he had taught a teaching called How to Eat to Live. And if that person was actually practicing how to eat to live as it should be practiced, then what's the need of medicine? The food that you eat is both the cause of your illness if you're eating the wrong food. And if you are ill, guess what? You're eating the wrong food. It's just that simple. You might think you're eating right. And sometimes that's the hardest person to help, because this sister really thinks she's doing right. This brother really thinks he's doing it right. I have never interviewed a Muslim in my office, and I always ask him, do you practice how to eat to live? I have never had a Muslim tell me no. They all say yes. Sick as hell. But I give them that respect. I know you're a follower of the messenger. See, so I know you're striving to follow him. But sometimes the ideas that we have about how to eat to live are so mixed up and backwards and wrong. Or sometimes, it's like you know a whole lot of things, but now it's not really what you know. It's not really what you believe. It's what you actually do. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, mere belief counts for nothing. So you can believe in how to eat to live all you want, but if you actually aren't practicing it, either deliberately not practicing it or mistakenly mispracticing it, you will not get the benefits. And then he also writes in the book that if you're thinking the wrong thoughts, you will not get the benefits. So then, what we have to do, right? Do, not talk, do, is we actually have to get people on the right track with how to eat to live. Now, here's what I tell my patients nowadays. First of all, they have to qualify to be my patient. I don't accept everybody, because everybody ain't right. See, I won't accept as a patient somebody that won't accept responsibility for themselves. You're going to put all the weight on me to get you better. No, I won't either. You have to agree with me. Otherwise, you can't be my patient. What do you mean agree? Meaning that what I tell you to do, you do it. And don't talk back. If I tell you to eat something, eat it. Don't tell me what you don't eat. That's the problem. You don't eat what you should eat. Well, I don't like milk. Okay, well, tell me what you do like. Well, I can't say that. No, come on, sister. You brought it up. I'm telling you what you should eat. You telling me you really don't like that. The Holy Quran talks about those who deny the bounties of Allah. So here's one of the best things in the world, if not the best thing for people to eat. And you telling me you don't like it. What do you like? Yeah, but you probably would say it wouldn't be good. Well, what do you say? So when she finally got around to saying what it was, candy. Now I got to deal with that. See, look, sister, this is no joke. If you're really serious about your health, then you got to get serious about nutrition. I said, you don't have to listen to me. Didn't your mother tell you don't eat that candy? So you're not just disobeying me. You're disobeying your mother. And a lot of times if we just remember what our parents guided us with, maybe they didn't have divine wisdom all the way, but the basic things that they were teaching us as good mothers and good fathers, it was sound. But now some of us have gotten so sophisticated We have gone to these schools that have messed up our minds, gotten university degrees, so now we think mama and papa didn't know nothing. But the thing about it is, when I examine mama and papa, they're healthier than you. I'm coming to something, and I got to speed it up. I know the time. See, look what happened when Master Farad Muhammad arrived. See, first off, on October the 29th, 1929, he launched the mother plane. See, that was before he showed up. But that which was backing him was already up. And a sign of his launching of the mother plane was the crash of the stock market on what they called Black Monday. So then he shows up. So upon his arrival, the winds over America start swirling and picking up speed. And as the winds traveling from the west unto the east picked up speed in the midst of a great drought that had been taking place for some time, that wind picked up the topsoil out of the breadbasket areas of America, took the topsoil from Kansas and Nebraska and all of those big farm states that grow all of America's food. Allah brought the wind to pick up the enemy's topsoil and blew it out into the ocean. They call that the Dust Bowl. And that, along with other things that were also taking place, led to what was called the Great Depression, where there was hunger in America, soup lines, bread lines, everybody down and out. Millions of people on the move, migrating from one place to the other. Beggars on the street corners, homeless people everywhere, disease rampant. And then Franklin Delano Roosevelt became president. And he brought in what was called the New Deal. And they give him credit for saving the country. But in order to save the country, he had to go into Fort Knox where they kept the gold. And he had to put up $14 billion of gold, all of the gold that America had. He had to pass a law making it illegal for private citizens to hold gold. He confiscated all of the gold from the population of the country and gave it to the central bankers. Worked out a bankruptcy foreclosure agreement on the United States of America in 1933. Put the whole country in bankruptcy in exchange for money that was used to rebuild the country. Are you listening? He used as collateral not just the gold, but he used all of the land, all of the property, all of the wealth, all of the possessions of all of the people. And in fact, the people themselves were collateral. That all of their wealth, all of their earnings, all of their future earnings, and all of the future earnings of their children and their grandchildren was to be collateral to support this economy that was now on a debt basis. Where you've seen people like this, they seem to be wealthy. But when you check on them, everything they got is bought with a credit card. It's all debt. They done refinanced their house 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times. Where they got the appearance of wealth. But it's an illusion. They have no wealth. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt took all of the gold out of the vaults in Fort Knox, America was broke from that moment on. And now you see the chickens coming home to roost. See, so they're saying now, well, this could be like a second Great Depression. No, it won't. Why? Because you don't have $14 billion worth of gold in the vault no more. As a matter of fact, here's an example some of you will understand real good because it applies to you. Some of you who have these houses and you thought you was a real estate tycoon, didn't you? Boasting to people that you're worth $1 million. Yeah, right. Because you bought a house and the value seemed to go up and up and up and up, and you was flipping houses, right? Just like they do on television. I flipped me a house. And some of you got vacation homes here and there, you know, and you were making money, so you thought. And when you needed a little money to get that new Cadillac or a new fur coat or whatever you wanted, or to pay your Savior's Day gift or whatever it was, what did you do? You just went down to the bank and refinanced it, didn't you? So now, how much do you owe on the house? Okay, let's just say you owe $500,000 on the house. What happened to the market value of the house? Now it's $300,000. So you owe $500,000 on a $300,000 house, and that's sinking. Don't you feel like a fool? You should feel like a fool. Because that was never real. But now don't feel like a fool by yourself. Go look at the American government. You're looking at a pack of fools. When you look in the White House, there's a fool in there. When you look in Congress, there's 535 fools. You look on the Supreme Court, there's 9 big fools sitting up there. You think those are wise people? No, Allah has taken their wisdom from them. Allah has taken their vision from them. And it's just like the Prophet Obadiah put it so many years ago, as thou hast done, so shall it be done unto you. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. And so since the coming of Master Farad Muhammad in 1930, you have seen America taken down from her leadership role. That stone that was cut out with no hand has already smote the image. It's already broken into pieces. Think of what it looked like when the World Trade Center was hit with those planes. It's like a stone smiting the image of wealth and power in front of the whole world, telling you that this modern Babylon can be taken. So here's the problem. What did America do when Master Farad Muhammad blew away their topsoil? How could they grow food? Well, these smart scientists, these chemists, they went to work. They figured out how to grow food on no soil. All you need is some chemicals, right? Chemical fertilizer. So that's a major industry in America, growing food on chemicals. Well, now, what about the quality of food when it's grown on chemicals? Oh, the quality. Well, it looks like an orange. Well, it looks like cabbage. It looks like a carrot. Yeah, but is it a carrot? These studies have shown that what a carrot was worth nutritionally speaking in 1950, you would need about 4 or 5 carrots today to equal 1 carrot in 1950. Not to mention a carrot from 1920 or 100 years ago. See, when Master Farad Muhammad taught his messenger that you could live indefinitely on navy beans, wheat, and pure milk? Was he talking about this devitalized, industrialized, chemicalized wheat and beans and milk that is available today? See, so that's why some of us, let me back up, not some of us, all of us, none of us are getting the results from How to Eat to Live that we used to get because the food itself has been degraded. When I look at your menu, I'm reading all the right things. All the things that we're supposed to eat is listed right there. You're eating that every day, yet you're sick. Well, where did you get that carrot from, sister? Where did you get those beans from? Where did you get that milk from? The enemy. See why I'm tired of talking? See, because we talk how to eat to live. The real name of how to eat to live is agriculture. You hear me? You can talk how to eat to live all you want. You can preach how to eat to live all you want. But as long as you're buying your wheat from the enemy, that ain't how to eat to live. You're being tricked. You're being a fool. And you're on your way to sickness and death. You claim you're following the messenger, but then the messenger tell you, get your mouth out of the white man's kitchen. Well, how you going to get your mouth out of his kitchen and you not growing anything of your own? Acting like agriculture is an option. Acting like we got something better to do than have a farm. Proud of our car, proud of our mosque, proud of our homes, proud of all these material possessions that we have, and you don't have a cow. See, I said that before in 2005. And I'm proud to say some in the nation have gotten cows since then. If you don't have a cow in your city, you need to protest. It got quiet in here, didn't it? What are we talking about? See, what kind of man are you that you won't fight for your life? Don't you know that when you are deprived of the right food, that somebody is threatening your life? When somebody does not provide for you the things that God insists that you must eat. If you don't accept how to eat to live, then he rejects you because you are what you eat. So you're eating devil food, grafted food, refined foods, industrialized foods, artificial foods, and claiming to be Muslims, claiming to be with the messenger, claiming to be with the minister. No, you're not. We're having problems in the mosque and in the study groups. The student ministers complaining, the student captains and sister captains complaining. We can't get the participation that we need. We can't get people to do what they're supposed to be doing. And you think it's a moral problem. In part it is. Discipline problem, yeah, to a certain extent. But what is the real problem? At the root, underneath all of the other aspects of the problem, there's a problem in nutrition. That brother can't do his duty because he's too tired. He's too weak. He can't even stay awake. Well, why won't his brain cells stay awake? After 15 minutes, 20 minutes sitting in a seat, and he can't keep his eyes open. The wrong food. Can't do nothing. How can you do this work, which is a work that is mission and commissioned by God himself, and you're eating other than what God himself would eat? That's why I miss my wife, because my wife kept me out of restaurants. I better not go in a restaurant. Come home, got the bean soup on. Got the other good things. When we travel nowadays, Get invited here and get invited here. Go ask Sister Patrice when the Ministry of Health here invited us to come to Chicago. What I asked her, do y'all have some milk? Because if you don't have no milk, I ain't coming. You think I'm joking? Why would I go somewhere where you can't feed me? What kind of people would it be that would have an invited guest coming in on a special purpose and you won't even feed your guests? Send your guests out to some restaurant somewhere, riding around in the streets looking for some devil restaurant where that might not be too bad. So I love going to Houston. Why? Because they got cows down there. So when it's time to sit down and eat, Brother Kelvin been out there on the farm milking the cow. So they got a big pitcher of raw milk sitting up on the table. Okay, now I can do my work. Don't give me some mess and expect that God's work will get done. It won't be done. It will be a mess. Look in your book. The first thing that you see God doing after creation is he is planting a garden. Look at the last thing you read about Jesus in the gospel. Some of them say he was disguised as a gardener. Why do you think it was a disguise? It's because you think it's something shameful about being a farmer, about being a gardener, because you can't see yourself being a farmer or a gardener. Well, then that means you ain't like God. It means you ain't like Jesus. You want to be a city slicker. You want to be a hustler. You want to think that you can get some money without cultivating the land. You don't like the idea of farming because that's hard work. What the cultivation of the land is hard work, but the cultivation of your soul is hard work. The cultivation of people is hard work. So you find me somebody that is not interested in farming, and I'm showing you a lazy man, a lazy woman who is not willing to do the hard work that is necessary to cultivate themselves or cultivate others, or to produce produce from a garden or from a farm that will help you to survive in a day of trouble. Who do you think is going to feed you in this day of time and this day and time of trouble? Historically in America, they always had 2 years of food stored up in the storehouses. Enough for every man, woman, and child in the country for 2 years. Last year, when they went to check out the inventory, what they found out is they had 3 days. 3 days of food. That's it. So who's going to feed you when America, or as she collapses? They look at John McCain. If he got to be president, you think he going to feed you? But now he ain't going to get to be president. Maybe it's just me, but I think he quit last week when he suspended his campaign. I think he was thrown in the towel. I don't want it. You got it, man. So maybe Obama will win. But he don't own no farms. Sort of casts a different light on, in the scripture, talks about the abomination of desolation. Maybe it's the Obama nation of desolation. Who the hell cares who's president if there ain't no food to eat? The only time, according to the movies, the only time they have a black president is when a meteorite or a comet Some of them say when they looked out there, they saw one. You think I'm joking? In my conclusion, see, the wheat that was available in 1930 had about 17% protein, high protein wheat. So if you ate that, it would sustain your life indefinitely. The best wheat today has no more than 7% protein. The best. But most of the wheat that goes into the Wonder Bread that you eat, and you buying that whole wheat Wonder Bread. Some said, no, I don't. I get Pepperidge Farm. Oh, you think that's better? No. See, so that's why I'm tired of talking about wheat. It's time to grow it. To see whether or not we have some scientists in the nation who can improve the food. Because if we just buy the seed that the enemy has and grow it, we're still getting that devitalized wheat. That ain't the real thing. That ain't what Master Farad Muhammad was talking about in 1930. What about the milk? Well, what you can buy is called pasteurized, homogenized, skim, 1%, 2%, lactose free. That ain't milk. You might as well go buy soy milk. That ain't milk either. Rice milk. That ain't milk. Here's what milk is. Let me read this, because some people have a problem with milk. Talking about myself, I had a problem because I didn't understand. It's in Surah 16, verse 66. And surely there is a lesson for you in the cattle. We give you to drink of what is in their bellies, from betwixt the feces and the blood, pure milk, agreeable to the drinkers. So now, this is what Allah wants us to drink, directly from the cow. Now, the enemy has made an interpretation that raw milk is dangerous. But I challenge him to present the evidence. There is no evidence that raw milk is dangerous. There are no cases of human illness caused by raw milk, but there are plenty, thousands every year of people who are poisoned by pasteurized milk. That's where the poison comes in. What Allah produces in his cow is pure. You say, well, what about if the cow is sick? In theory, that would be a problem. In practice, it's not. Why? Because in the milk itself is the antidote to any illness that's in the cow or the illness that's in you. See, I wish I had time to teach a whole subject on milk. If you're sick, here's what you could do. Suppose your baby's sick. Okay, put your finger in the baby's mouth. Take saliva from the baby's mouth on your finger. Go out to the cow. Rub the baby's saliva on the udder of the cow. In 2 or 3 days, that cow will produce the antibodies that will cure the illness that's in that child. Just last year, the British medical journal called Lancet published a study showing that childhood asthma is cured with raw milk. Allergies are cured with raw milk. They said, but we don't recommend raw milk. Why? Because that's the enemy. Allah recommends raw milk, not the enemy. So who are you listening to? See, so I love to go to Houston because they got a cow down there. I love going to San Francisco. They got a big milk program going on. Just up in Buffalo, Brother Alim and the believers up there, they got milk all over the place. I love going there because one of the great joys that I have is after checking people, then when you come back for the second or third visit to see the progress, to see life coming back in people who were sick, now they're vigorous. But I started noticing something last year out in San Francisco. There were some people that I was looking at, and they were brimming with health and vitality. And I said, well, brother, did you take the supplements that I recommended? No, sir, I didn't have the funds. I couldn't afford them. I never took them. But you look so healthy, brother. I mean, it looks like you really, and your examination has improved. Then I asked the question, are you drinking the raw milk? Yes, sir. I drink it every day. Oh. So you didn't need to take my supplements. Because if you're drinking the raw milk, that is the supplement. That's the supplement recommended by God. Now we had a little wager, not real money, going at the clinic last year. We wanted to see how many cows would be in the nation by last Savior's Day. And I thought, well, we probably would have about 30 cows all over the nation producing milk for the believers. Of course, I lost that wager. We ain't got that many. And that's why most of our people in the nation are really sick. When I was checking them yesterday, Brother Ishmael, about 75% of the people that we checked here in Chicago, when I test their brain, it's weak. Test weak. And then when I was trying to explain to some of these individuals what the problem was and what needed to be done, I'm looking in eyes that are glazed over. You know, it's like the lights are on, but ain't nobody home. So sometime if there was a second person in the room, I'll talk to the second person. See if you can get this person to do what I'm saying. Because I don't think I'm getting through. I'm trying, but I don't think I'm getting through. So drink the raw milk. That'll clear all that up. That's the simplest and the easiest thing that I can say to anybody to do. Don't worry about your so-called lactose intolerance. It's not true. I thought I was lactose intolerant. I'm not. I'm intolerant to pasteurized milk. Well, if I drink pasteurized milk, look out. Won't be a problem. You don't want to be in the same room or the same house with me. But that raw milk, it will do you right. Now let me say it real quick, because somebody's going to say, I tried it and something happened. Yeah, something happened. That raw milk started working on you so fast that it took you by surprise. You used to eating something and then 3 or 4 days later it gets eliminated. That's what you used to. Not trying to be vulgar. But when you eat real food like raw milk, you drink that milk, say at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's ready for elimination by 10 o'clock that night. And if you got some mess, some junk that you ate previous to that up in there, that milk's going to push it all out. That's a cleansing reaction. That's not a problem. We've been sick so long that when we get healthy, we look at it like it's a problem. Something wrong with me. final point. The scientists are working hard on the teachings of Master Farad Muhammad. Look what Minister Farrakhan said to us on Friday night about mice, that they can increase the lifespan. You can find that on YouTube. Just go in there and do a search. It's called the Methuselah mouse. This mouse is so old they named him Methuselah. And all they did was put him on How to Eat to Live. So they're bearing witness to all of that. Now the other thing that they have done is they've looked into the milk. What is in milk that is so good? It's not just calories, but there's antibodies, there are cytokines, there are all kinds of molecules that are in the milk that have healing properties. And now clinical trials have been done that has shown that you can actually cure AIDS with raw milk. When I read that, it blew my mind, and then I looked further. Why would milk be able to cure AIDS? Well, we came back from Kenya in 1991 with something called alpha interferon that cures AIDS. So when you look in the milk, guess what's in the milk? Alpha interferon. Not only alpha interferon, but beta interferon and gamma interferon. All the interferons are in there. Now they said that if you really want to increase the potency of the milk, to increase its healing power, you let it sit at room temperature for 4 days after it's taken from the cow. You say, oh, that's spoiled. No, it's not spoiled. It's soured. Real milk, raw milk cannot spoil. It becomes fermented. They call it buttermilk. They call it yogurt. It's not spoiled. You're confusing it with pasteurized milk. You let pasteurized milk sit for 4 days. Yeah, it's spoiled, and if you drink it, it'll make you sick. But you drink that fermented milk, that soured milk, and the level of interferon and other health-promoting properties goes way up. I'm just trying to tell you something. Yes, sir. Let me show you something where that is the latest development. Now this is, I'm in an experimental stage now, but this is a product that is made from milk. You said, there you go, you promoting yourself, brother, on the rostrum. Call it what you want. This has in it what are called infopeptides, which is just a component of the milk, especially the milk from a cow that is just giving birth and is producing what is called colostrum. That early milk is called colostrum, and it is very, very potent in its medicinal properties. So now, what has been isolated from the colostrum are what are called infopeptides. These are small little proteins. Some are 2 amino acids, 3 amino acids, 4 amino acids, or 5 amino acids, and they are not biological in their properties. They are full of information. Information. Not chemistry, not biology. Let's say it another way. Full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so that these infopeptides will lock on to the receptors in each cell in your body and turn that cell on. And say to that cell, you are off your post. Get back on. You are unbalanced. You are cancerous. You are functioning at a low level or too high a level. You're out of balance. And the reason you're out of balance is because you have forgotten your lessons. So here's a molecule that Allah has put in the milk, that if you take it into your body, it's like a key that turns a lock, so that the 50 trillion cells in your body now get properly regulated and come back into a balanced state that is called homeostasis. So earlier when I said I'm shutting the clinic down, what I mean is I'm shutting down that old concept of medicine that you can get people better with drugs. Well, a little bit, sometimes, but that ain't the way. That certainly is not the way of Master Farad Muhammad. That is not the way of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we can find the cure for all of our diseases by eating the right food or the proper food, along with fasting. He said that he wouldn't rest until he had put the medical profession out of business. Well, that's exactly what we intend to do. If he intends to put them out of business, then we're going to put them out of business by showing. All praise is due to Allah. By showing to the highest degree of scientific certainty that the cure for all your ills is not in your drugs, but is in the food that Allah has put here on the planet, that he put in his garden east of Eden, that Jesus was cultivating. And that there's a people on the earth today under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan who are going to make the word of Allah bond, make the word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad bond, make the words in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad not just mere words, but the institutions that fulfill the promise that is in the words. How many of you would like to participate in that kind of work to remake the world into a better world, into a world like God intended, so the entire planet becomes a garden? Well, let me tell you the whole point of everything that's been said. You might want to do that work, but you will never do it until you change the food that you eat. If you're not eating the food of God as taught by God, according to the principles of how to eat to live, then you may desire with all your heart to do this divine work and to participate in this mission, but you will not be successful. Only to the degree that you become nutritionally fit will you be able to do the work of God. So, brothers and sisters, I've had a wonderful time. All praise is due to Allah. For the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there's a book I want you to pay attention to that will soon be available. It's called The Problem is Nutrition. See, the problem isn't what you think it is. The problem is never what you think it is. Because if the problem were what you think it is, you would have solved it. So it's not what you think it is. But beneath it all, the problem is always nutrition. So we're working on this book. This is just a draft of it. Inshallah, by Savior's Day, we'll have the full edition available that will help us to follow the practice of how to eat to live as it should be practiced. So I thank you. May Allah bless us with the light of understanding. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, brother.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. That means God is the greatest. Let's give another warm round of applause to our brother, student minister Abdul Alim Muhammad.